There's no issue with tanking in the NBA, despite what NBA media and reporters want you to believe, how this is going to, guys are not competing, how this is going to ruin playoff positioning, how this is messing up the integrity of the game. This has always happened in the history of the NBA. Teams have tanked. There's a reason why these teams are tanking, because they're not good. They're not good. There's a reason why teams are tanking and trying to get better draft positioning, because they're not good enough to either one, not make the playoffs, two, to contend. This is why it happens. So I don't understand why people are continuously wanting teams not to tank. And no better explanation than I'm going to look at the Washington Wizards. The Washington Wizards have won a championship in 1978 against the Seattle Supersonics. In 1979, they returned to the finals where they lost to the Seattle Supersonics. Since then, they have not made it out the second round. They have not made it out the second round in nearly 40 years. So what do you expect this team to do that hasn't been good, chasing free agents? They have to bottom out. This team has to bottom out. They're currently 16-58 on the season. They have Jordan Poole as their leading player. They just traded Kyle Kuzma. What else are they supposed to do? What are they trying to win in the grand scheme of things? This team is still suffering for moves that it made nearly a decade ago. Let's get into it. Remember these guys? Remember these guys? The couple playoff appearances that these guys had in 2016, 2017, 2018. Remember those guys? And you're wondering why Otto Porter's here. We understand the John Wall max extension that they did in 2019. We understand the Bradley Beal extension that they did in 2022. Otto Porter was the domino effect of that. That summer after they went to the playoffs, they extended him. They matched the offer from the Brooklyn Nets. I believe the Kings and the Nets were going after Otto Porter. They matched the contract of 4 years, $106 million. This is all the way back in 2017. Now, is that a move? Do I think Otto Porter moves the needle for them? No. I thought they should have let him go. Even back then, I thought it was wild that they matched it, where I thought they could have upgraded at that position. They didn't. They kept on to Otto Porter. And you want to know what they did? Less than a year later, after they signed him to that deal, they traded him to Chicago. For who? Jabari Parker on bad knees and Bobby Portis before he went to the Knicks and then ended up in Milwaukee. That's one bad move that they had to suffer. Then 2019, John Wall injured. They extend him to a contract, 4 years, 171 supermax. How do you expect your team to progress when you just paid a max player a supermax who's not available and hurt your team? And maybe there's some things there where John Wall was saying that, hey, I want to stay. I try to come back, XYZ, and they didn't want him. They kind of ushered him out the back door. They then turned that around into Bradley Beal supermax. And Bradley Beal was a pretty good player, averaging 30. He was cooking those years. Let's not get it wrong. He was cooking those years, averaging 30 points, made the All-Star team. 5 years, $251 million supermax. And a no-trade clause. Let me just say that none of these guys are with the franchise currently. None of these guys. And maybe they shouldn't have paid any of these guys, in my opinion, looking at those guys there. Looking at Otto Porter, he bounced around, won a title with the Warriors, I believe. John Wall was ultimately traded to Houston for Russell Westbrook. That helped them get into the playoffs with Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal was saying all the right things. Hey, I want to stay here. I want to continue to build. I want to do all these things. Before things got really bad, and less than a year later, he's traded out of that deal. So this team is recovering from bad contracts, losing 2 All-Stars, and trying to move forward. They got Jordan Poole. They got Kyle Kuzma. They then traded Kyle Kuzma. And it's like, how do you expect this team to get better? They have some veterans on the team, Chris Middleton, Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, guys that I think that they're going to continuously move on from, because that's why I have the arrow there pointing at their age. Those guys are not going to move the needle for the Washington Wizards, despite Chris Middleton recently saying, hey, I believe this team could be a playoff team if everything goes right. That's not happening. He's just trying to stay positive, be a veteran, understanding that he wants to win and play in better situations. That's not here with the Washington Wizards. Not at all. That's not going to happen. And looking at this franchise, when they have guys like Alex Sarr, they just traded for AJ Johnson from Milwaukee, who's come on and put on some good games. This team is not built to win right now. So what incentive do they have to win currently right now? There's no incentive to win. They should be trying to go after Cooper Flagg, those Ace, the Rutgers kids, Ron Harper's son, Ace Bailey. They should be trying to go after those guys and try to lose as many games as possible to put themselves in a better position. They're still reeling from those contracts from nearly a decade ago, half decade ago, that they gave to Otto Porter, that they gave to John Wall, that they gave to Bradley Beal. Those moves set franchises back, and that's what we're seeing right now. So when people are saying they don't want to compete and all this other stuff, they're not going to compete. They have to tank. The Washington Wizards are not going to win games right now as currently constructed. Looking at this season, they were projected to be one of the worst teams in the league. They weren't going to make the play-in. They weren't going to make the playoffs. The only way that this team can get better is to tank. And that's what they're doing. And that's what they should successfully be doing. They should be trying to tank and lose as many games as possible. There's no problem with tanking in the NBA. There's bad management in the NBA. And the Washington Wizards are the best example of that, because it's just bad move after bad move. They're not making moves to win. And it's weird because they're in Washington, D.C., good media market, Chocolate City. You figured that would be a place of wanting to go there and change things around. And it's just bad management. It's bad history. The only way this team can do that and get better is to tank. And that's what the Washington Wizards should do. In the offseason, trade some of these guys and see if you can get some picks and multiple pieces. And hopefully you get a good draft pick. Hopefully you can move off of Jordan Poole as well. There's no need to continue to try to win and try to put yourself in position. You have to tear it all the way down and put yourself in a better position to get a franchise-changing player in the draft. That is the only way. No one is trading for these guys to move a franchise player to the Washington Wizards. It's not happening. It's not happening. That's not happening for the Washington Wizards. They haven't been a free agent destination. They haven't drafted the best. They haven't signed all their guys to the smartest contracts that can build that they can continue to build on and build for the future. That's just not what happens. The Washington Wizards are bad for a reason. They stink. They have bad management. And that's what's going to continue to happen unless they tank and try to get somebody in the draft. That's how franchises turn it around. Not by continuing to try to mediocrity and try to win and try to figure it out. That's not how it happens. I know people want that good thing in sports and saying, hey, everyone competes. They try the hardest, 110%. This team can't do that. This team can't do that. And despite those years ago when they went up against the Raptors and the Celtics in the playoffs and they got to the semifinals and they got to a game 7 against the Boston Celtics, that's long gone in the grand scheme of history. That's long gone. It's only, what, a couple years ago, 6 years ago, but it's gone. The Washington Wizards have to move on. They have to put themselves in a better position to get Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Ron Harper's son, VJ Edgecombe, guys of that nature. They cannot sit there and continue to try to be like, hey, we're going to try to win or trade this pick for a franchise player, because that's not happening. They have to tank.